waiting for approval to be able to access the building on Sundays. But
okay, Boker Tov. Today's daf is Nun Hey, and we pick up on the Gemara right after the Mishnah. The Mishnah lists that Zivchei. So this is going to be like going more quickly going through the Mishnayot about the different korbanot and how they were done. So it says that we're finishing up the Kachei Kachim. So the rest, after we did Chatas and Ola, the other big categories, Asham. The Mishnah mentioned all the Ashamot Vadai, like Ashamot for a definite sin. And then the one case called of Asham Talui, when there's a question if you did a type of a sin that you would bring a chatas for, plus Zivchei Shlamei Tzibor, Shlamim that are brought on behalf of the entire community. There's one thing that fits in that category, which is the Shlamim that are brought on Shavuot. And that's also Kodesh Kadashim. Okay, so therefore it's in the north, and it's the two that are four in terms of the sides of the, the corners of the Mizbeach. So let's take a look at the Gemara, top of Minhei. Minalan Debayit Safon. Where do we get this idea that you need north? The Tani Rabba Bar Rav Chanan, Kamei, meaning specifically for the Shlamei Tzibur. Okay, Kamei de Rava. V'asitem sirizim echad lechatas. And the end of the pasuk is what is it? V'shnei chvasim whatever l'zevach shlamim. What's the word after?
V'shnei chvasim b'nei shana.
B'nei shana l'zevach shlamim. Okay, so that's by the pasuk by Shavuot, and so it links the chatat to the shlamei tzibur. Machatas b'tzafon of shlamei tzibur tzafon. So machatas nor shlamei tzibur is enough. Everybody should be jumping up because of the next line of the Gemara. I hope you have this in your kishkas at this stage. The Gemara says, "Amalei Rava v'chatas mechan lamda me'ola." 1 minute, we got chatas from Ola. Tavar halamed behekei, chozer malamed behekei.
No,
you gotta know. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to link and then do another link. Ella, they can't be that. Midatani Rav Mari. Now you know why we learned those two daf before. Ella, so you would know that you can't get away with something like this. Ella midatani Rav Mari braid Rav Kahana. Alalosechem yalzivchei shalmechem. That this is what you bring on your olot and on your zivchei shlamim, which is interesting. With zivchei shlamim is the same terminology that the rabbis use for the shlamei tzibur. Zivchei shlamei, it says what's phrase which says zivchei shlamei tzibur, and Rashi says we know that this verse is talking about shlamim of the what do you call it, of the tzibur, because this is about when you use the chatzotrot. Right, and you blow right, exactly. And there, it's a little circular, but Chazal understand that is only done for korbanot tzibur, not korbanot yachid. And if it mentions shlamim, so it must be talking about these zivchei shlamei tzibur that you bring on Shavuot. 1 minute. Fine. Okay. I know. I'm saying that's why I say Chazal understand. There's nothing explicit in the pasuk that means it's tzibur. Chazal understand that's talking about tzibur. Ma ola kachei kadashim avzif. So there it's linked to an ola. Avzif shlamei tzibur kachei kadashim. They're both kodesh kadashim. And the basic implication of kodesh kadashim is this issue about the north and that part. More specifically, it can't be eaten outside of the temple grounds. It can only be eaten by male kohanim. So kodesh kadash. So they're also both in the north. Ella, so fine. So that's what you get. So that's how you learn it because of that pasuk. So what's the first reason it's linked to a chatas? Right, the first pasuk we quoted, which is actually the pasuk by Shavuot itself. Why link it to a chatas? And now, if you want to explain why it's linked to a chatas, it has to be something we know from a chatas itself. It can't be something that we know because we're of a chatas that we learned from somewhere else. So what is the value of linking it to a chatas? So the Gemara says, ki chatas, tell you like a chatas. Ma chatas to tell you this second part of the idea of it being kachei kachim. It's only eaten by male kohanim. The zichrei kuhuna is only by zichrei kuhuna. You can't do that by linking it to an ola, because why can't you learn it out from an ola? An ola is also kodesh kadashim. So why can't you learn out the restriction? Ola isn't to eat it. Oh, so it all works out beautifully. Abai said, by the ram brought by the Nazir, which is a type of a shlamim, but it's a private shlamim, and it says the following by Nazir: the krivas korbanot Hashem keves ben shnaso tamim echad leolav kavsa chas bas shnasa tamima lechatas v'alechat tamim lishlamim. So you have one male sheep for a chatas, a female sheep for a chatas, and 1 ram for a shlamim. So they're in that pasuk, they're linked to the chatat. So hachanami nema the heket hikash kasu chatas ma chatas in nechav zichikuna afil nazar in nami in nechal zichikuna. Should we say the same thing, that it's limited to male kohanim, where this is a private shlamim? Why should it be considered kachim and limited to male kohanim? What are you going to do about the fact that it's linked? Such a pleasure when all of this is in Mishnaic Hebrew. Read so fast. Anyway, the Gemara says, how could you make that comparison? Hasam, Kivin Dechsiv, since it's written, the Kohen, his portion is the cooked arm from the ram. Okay, Michlal, and said the Torah says that's what he gets. So the implication is, from that we can infer the Kule Bali Machile, the remainder of it is eaten by the owners. So therefore, the implication is this is the Kohen's portion, it's a shlamim, the rest is the owner's portion. So you can't say it's only eaten by the male Kohanim. That could be true by the shlamim brought on Shavuos, but it can't be true here. So therefore, there's no basis to say that this is eaten only by male Kohanim. That can't be why it's linked to a chatos. So the Gemara says, okay, you know what? That's true about the rest that's eaten by the owners. That is implied. But zero b'shela mialolis achli ela zichikuna. But maybe the part that the Kohanim get, maybe that is Kodesh Kodashim and only eaten by male Kohanim. And we never have anything like that in any Korban. Either the whole thing is eaten by the male Kohanim, or that's Kachim Kachim, or it's Kachim Kalim, and most of it is eaten by the owners, and a little bit is eaten by the Kohanim, but it's not limited to male Kohanim. We're going to see it. It's their wives, their families, their slaves, and so on. We'll see about that in a minute. Okay? The household of the Kohanim. So you would never have this such a phenomenon never exists. But the Gemara is saying, but if it's linked to a chatas, why not at least say the portion the Kohanim get is like a chatas and only eaten by male Kohanim? So the Gemara's answer is kasha. Kasha, fine, that's difficult. But I don't think the Gemara is so worked up about it because, as I said, we don't really have that phenomenon. Either it's all eaten by male Kohanim, or if it's split between owners and the Kohanim, then the owners eat their stuff and the Kohanim eat their stuff within their whole family, not limited to male Kohanim. So because it's implied that the owners get the meat, we know that it is not Kodesh Kodashim and not limited to male Kohanim. Okay, the Gemara says, but still, why is the Shlamim of the El Nazir linked to a Chatas? What do we learn from that link? So the Gemara says, before we get to that answer, one more reason why we know that it's not linked, that it's not limited to male Kohanim, because the El Nazir Kodesh Ikri Kodesh Kodashim Lo Ikri. It's never called Kodesh Kodashim. So that tells us that it's not one of these things that's limited to male Kohanim. Now Rashi's a little bothered because Zivchei Shlamei Tzibor also doesn't say Kodesh Kodashim. It says Kodesh, but at least there it says Kodesh LaHashem. So anyway, Rashi tries to work out the psukim. Anyway, fine. We know that the link to a chatas here is not to tell us only male Kohanim. It's Kodesh, it's not Kodesh Kodashim, it's eaten by the owners. Fine. So why is the El Nazir, the Shlamim of the El Nazir, linked to a chatas? So for what purpose isn't it linked to a chatas? The link is actually to tell you the opposite direction. That the Shlamim, the El Nazir, the Shlamim, is framed in the psukim as the central korban for ending the Nizirut, because it says he shaves his head, he puts it under the pot, which is cooking the arm of the El Nazir. That's why it's Zura B'Shelah. You cook it in a pot and you put his hair under the pot. So there's a clear intertwining of the El Nazir, the Shlamim, with his shaving his hair and with his ending his Nizirut. There's other bases of other things in the psukim also that seem to link them, that Rashi talks about. So therefore, the pasuk links it to a chatas, not that you should say a law of a chatas applies to this, but to go in the reverse direction. That the same way this thing basically ends the Nizirut, and if you shaved in the context of bringing this, even if you did not yet bring the El Nazir, this is pretty shocking, and you just brought the Chatas mentioned earlier, one of the Chataot mentioned earlier, and you're also entered Nizirut, okay? So that is a big chiddush. That this is not, it's not that the whole sort of ending of the Nizirut is all dependent on this one korban. Okay, next Mishnah. So that is the end of our Kodesh Kodashim. Now we go to our Storm Kachim Kalim. And before we get to this sort of most generic of those categories, which is the Shlamim, we start with one or two things which are sort of like Shlamim, but they're a little bit more distinct. Okay, Hatoda, the Toda, which is something that is brought when for purpose of Thanksgiving, Chazal enumerate 4 circumstances which you bring it. It's a type of a shlamim, but you also bring 40 loaves of bread, 30 of which are matzah, 10 of which are chametz. You give a kohen 1 out of each group of 10. So kohen, there are 4 different types of bread, 3 different types of matzah, 1 type of chametz. The kohen gets 1 out of each 10. Okay, so that's the toda. El Nazir we just mentioned. That's a type of a shlamim, but you have this special ritual with the hair. It's brought for a nazir. The kohen gets not only the normal things that a kohen would get from a shlamim, he also gets the zroa b'shelah. So in both of these, the kohen gets something extra. By the toda, he gets the bread, 1 loaf of each bread, and by the el nazir, he gets the arm. Normal shlamim is you take the the chazeh and the shok, the breast and the thigh, right, and you wave it, and that you give to the kohen. So this is true by these, but these also have something a little extra given to the bread. Put a little extra for you. Okay, anyway, so kachim kalim, el nazir kachim kalim. Now finally we're getting a difference because this is kachim kalim. You're not limited to the north. You shech them anywhere. The domaton shtema torchena ba is still the same as 2 that is 4, which is true by everything that's on the chatas. The nechalim b'chol ha'ir, here's another difference. Not limited to the temple courtyard, to the Azarah. It can be eaten in the entire city of Yerushalayim. B'chol adam can be eaten by anybody. It's not limited to being eaten by kohanim, okay? Men, women, yes, kohen, not kohen, okay? B'chol ma'achal, in any form. It doesn't have to be like roasted like a korban pesach. L'yom v'layla. Now, here's another way it's different than a shlomim. A shlomim is eaten for 2 days and the intervening night. A toda and the el nazir is eaten only for the day and the following night. Okay, it says that explicitly by the toda, all right, and therefore the el nazir is linked to the toda. I mean, whatever Chazal read within the parsha of a toda, that it indicates the el nazir as well. So because of these are distinctive types of shlamim, it's only the day and the following night. Now, the yolach is the entire following night, but Chazal said ad chatzot, until midnight, so you would not leave you falling asleep. Hamur mehem kiyotze behem. Now, the stuff that is lifted up from them, the truma, right, which is sometimes shok hatruma v'chazeh hatnufa, right, the stuff that is given to the kohen, has the same halacha in the sense that it is eaten in all of Yerushalayim. Okay, it's not limited to the grounds of the Beit HaMikdash, but there is a difference, and here's the difference. The difference is that and it's eaten, for that day and for the day of the following night, so it follows the same halacha. Okay, but here's the difference. It says, it is not limited to male kohanim. It is like, it goes to the whole family of kohanim, their wives, their kids, and their slaves. Now, what other thing do kohanim eat that is like this? That is, meaning Kodesh Kadashim, the chatas, is eaten in the temple courtyard by male kohanim. What thing is limited, is restricted to the eating of the kohanim, but can be eaten by truma. So this is just like truma, and therefore it's appropriate that it says hamura mehem, like that which is lifted up, shok hateruma. Okay, so the Torah says, like, I give this to you, l'chol v'necha itach, v'necha v'lev notecha. The pasuk actually says to you and your daughters and your sons and your daughters. It explicitly mentions daughters. Okay, so it is limited to kohanim and the kohanim family. It can't be eaten by Yisrael. It's still also different than truma, because truma is called kodshe hagavul. Kodshe hagavul means that it could be eaten anywhere in the boundaries of Israel. Whereas this, although it is like truma in the sense of its kedusha, and it's allowed, it can't be eaten by Israel, but it can be eaten by the whole family of the kohanim. Okay, it is still not kodshe gvul because it can only be eaten in Yerushalayim. You can't take it out of Yerushalayim. Truma, of course, is not restricted to Yerushalayim.
So the b'chol ma'achal part, which we had already before, but the previous mission, it's coming to teach you.
It doesn't limit it to sleep.
You might have thought that you would have.
It's just another thing to say about it. I don't know why it has to keep on repeating it. Because when it gets to Pesach, it's going to say it's only nechal tzli. Okay.
So I guess we're trying to contrast it.
Exactly. Just trying to make a chart. And by Pesach, it's going to be only tzli, so you need to have blanks in the other parts of the chart. Okay. So now we're going to look at, how do you know this idea that it's eaten only in Yerushalayim? Out meaning both limited to Yerushalayim, but outside of the temple courtyard. Because the pasuk says like this.
And then you mean like not just the whole temple, like even it's just nothing.
This is, to say it again, this is, right, the Azarah. When I say the temple courtyard, does not include the Ezra's Nashim. Ezra's Nashim has the status of Machane Leviyah, of Harabayis. Okay? So it's only from where the actual korbanot, it's a little bit more back because it's not right up against the back. But anyway, but it's only like where the korbanot can be slaughtered. Even kachim kalim can only be slaughtered in the azara. They can't be slaughtered out of the azara, right? This is where everything is done. Okay, this is the only place that the Kodesh Kodashim can be eaten. The Kodesh Kodashim can only be eaten in the place directly where the avoda is done. Cannot be eaten in the Ezra Snasha.
So there had to have been some sort of like kitchen facility, so to speak. I mean, you can roast it, spice it.
There was one of those chambers that they have after was exactly the place where they came.
But they had to stand up, right? Because you're not allowed to sit in the azara, so you have to eat it standing up, presumably. Thinking about it. I'm just thinking about like the meal that they'd have. Like, so they ask from the mincha, they'd make it into whatever it is.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but that's a good point. Yeah, because you're right. In yeshiva bazara. Yeah. Okay, so there's 3 machanot, right? I mean, this is machane shechina, okay, and this is actually the azara, okay, and this is the azara, right? It's basically gives you a little mitzvah, whatever. Okay. Then this is machane leviyah. This is har habayit. Okay, the wall, actually, the western wall, I mean, I guess we'll go up there. Right, the western wall here is actually the wall around Har Habayis. Okay, and then here's all of Yerushalayim. So actually, the Ezras Nashim, this is Har Habayis. It is not the actual Azara. Okay, so anyway, okay, so. How do you know that this is eaten out of the Azara and in all of Yerushalayim? Tanu Rabbanan, Eid Chazei Tenuva ve'Eid Shokat Tuma tochlu b'makom tahor. Amar Rabbi Nechemia, V'chi Rishon b'Tuma nachlum. What do you mean? Oh, this you eat in a tahor place. What? So the Kodesh Kodashim you ate in Tuma? I mean, so the point is that tahor is not saying that it's more tahor than the rest. It's saying it's only tahor and it's not kadosh. Because the other stuff it says tochlu b'makom kadosh. And here it says tochlu b'makom tahor. Okay, so this is by Shmini. This is Moshe giving the command to Aaron and his kids. Okay, by the korbanot that they would bring in, that they brought on Shmini. So it says v'chi. So, but this is specifically by the by the Shlamim. So
that's the end of that pasuk.
What?
That's that pasuk in the one you're quoting.
What do you mean? What's the
pasuk? It mentions that
right
in the pasuk.
What mentions what?
It mentions Shlamim in that pasuk.
Right. Here, I'll read it. That was right before he asked what happened to the chatzos. You weren't listening to me. Okay. It says like this. Listen to the pasuk because actually it's worth reading because it reinforces this whole distinction of Kodesh Kodashim and Kodesh Kalim. Moshe Aaron, this is Yud Bet. So the mincha is Kodesh Kodashim. Eat that in a holy place. The 8 chazei tenufa ve'it shokat truma tochlu b'makom tahor atav v'nechita ki chachav v'chok b'nechit nitnu mizivchei shalmei b'nei Yisrael. Okay, so notice what it says. Maybe that's what you meant, Michael.
Yeah.
Ata uvanecha uvnotecha itach. So this doesn't say Kodesh Kodashim hi, right? It says chokcha, but it doesn't say Kodesh Kodashim hi. It says you and your daughters. Right. Okay, and it says tochlu b'makom tahor as contrasted to makom kadosh.
Right, and
so these and it's a shlami, right? So this is exactly, the shokat tuma v'chazei tenufa likher chavin aviu v'anif tenufa v'ayalachal v'nechi itach v'chocholam kasher Zevachim55. Okay, so this is exactly drawing those lines between kachim kalim, who gets to eat them and where you get to eat them, makom kadosh or makom tahor. Eid chazei tenufa ve'eid shokat tuma tochlu b'makom tahor. Amar Rabbi Nechemia v'chi mishon b'tuma achlum. What? So the holier stuff was eaten b'tuma? Obviously not. Ela tahor michlal shu tameh. You gotta love it when Gemara does it. Tahor, I mean, it's a little bit tahor. It's he thinks he does protest too much. Tahor, it's also a little tameh. It's not totally tahor. I don't know if I would have said that. I would have said tahor means it's not as kadosh because tahor is contrasted to kadosh. It's only tahor. It's not also kadosh. Anyway, the Gemara says it allows for a certain degree of tumah. Tahor mitumas mitzorah, v'tamei mitumas zav. So Yerushalayim, you can't have mitzorahim in Yerushalayim. They have to be sent outside of 3 machanot. So, but it's tamei in that you can allow other people that are tamei to be in Yerushalayim. A zav can be in Yerushalayim. A dead body can be in Yerushalayim. A tamei can be in Yerushalayim. And by the way, partly I think maybe that's why the Gemara is saying this, is that if it would have just said tahor but not kadosh, so fine, that would have said it doesn't have to be on the temple grounds. But then you would have said, wait, why is Yerushalayim being called a makom tahor? According to halacha, right? Yerushalayim doesn't have to be totally cleansed of all tum'ah. Actually, almost all tum'ah is allowed in Yerushalayim. The only tummy thing that's not allowed in Yerushalayim is a mitzvah. So it almost was forced to say, it's almost like an intrinsic problem. How could we be calling Makom Tahor a place that, according to Chazal, pretty much all tumahs are allowed to be there? So the answer is, okay, most tumahs, but not all tumahs. So it still has an element of Tahor. Tahor Michlal Shehu Tameh. Okay? And as I'm saying also, it's also not kadosh in the same.
Yeah, how do you know it's not like the Harabai?
So the Gemara is going to ask that. That's the camp of Yisrael, which corresponded to Yerushalayim. The aim tahor mitumas zav v'tamei mitumas meis. Oh, 1 minute. Maybe it means it has to be more tahor, not the minimalist tahor. Maybe it has to be tahor like machane leviyah, and that you're allowed to have a dead body or a person tamei to a dead body there, but you're not allowed to have a zav, somebody with a flow in machane leviyah. So maybe that's what it means. At least that's more significantly tahor. Amar Baye, Amar Kra, the verse says, "V'achatem usah b'makom kadosh." This is by the chatos. Usah b'makom kadosh. Now we're getting to the fact that it's contrast to the Makom Kadosh, not so much intrinsic in the word Tahor, but the contrast to Kadosh. Chatos is in a Kadosh, which means that the other stuff doesn't have to be a holy place. So even before it said Tahor by the Chazei Atnufa, even before it said that, I knew that it was emphasizing Chatos is Kadosh. This doesn't have to be in the temple grounds. Okay? So just by saying that a chatas is kadosh and using the limiting word osa would tell me that the shlomim did not have to be in machane shechina, could be in machane leviyah, could be, which would correspond to harabayis. That I knew already. Hadar kasav makom tahor, and then the pasuk says, "Oh, eat this in makom tahor." So that's coming to even tell you even have more latitude. Okay, and therefore. After the Machane Yisrael, then it brought it out into Machane Yisrael. I already knew it wasn't going to be in the Azara itself. I already knew Harabayas, and then it said it doesn't really have to be Kadosh at all, just Tahor, or Tahor means that it has an element of Tumah, and that allows me to say all of Yerushalayim. Okay, Amar, so that's a bias read. Okay, Rava Amar, which is a nice read. Rava says, Osab Makom Kadosh v'lo ches Makom Kadosh, Afke Legamrei. He starts the same way. Osa means the chatas is in a holy place, but not the shlamim. So that would have led me to say the shlamim can be eaten anywhere, even out of Machane Yisrael, can be eaten anywhere in Eretz Yisrael. Now Makom Tahor is coming to limit it, pull it back in. But we pull it back in to 1 degree. We pull it back in just to Machane Yisrael, to Yerushalayim. So the Gemara says 1 minute. If it's pulling it back in, maybe it pulls it back in even closer, all the way to okay, so the Gemara says, no. We're only going to bring it in 1 stage, not 2 stages. So the Gemara says, so when you learned out Osab Makom Kadosh, and you said, so this, something else can be out of Yerushalayim. Why do you jump all the way out? Why don't you just also say 1 degree out? If you're basically a minimalist and going to say any drasha is going to tell me remove it 1 degree, move it 1 degree, so then your initial drasha should have only moved it 1 degree, which is what Abayi did, right? And rather than saying that because it says a chatas is makom kadosh, I would have thought a shlamim is completely out of Yerushalayim. So that doesn't make sense. The Ode, there could never have been a havamina that you could eat a korban outside of Yerushalayim, outside of Machane Yisrael. Why? Because it says, Lo tzucha lecho b'sharecha. You can't eat in your gates, meaning in your stam cities, you can't eat kudshin. Okay, that it can only be eaten in the 1 central place. We like Abayi's brush of that. Okay, so Osab Makom Kadosh implies shlamim outside of the Azara, and then Tahor pulls it even further out and says anywhere in Yerushalayim. Now we get to the broadest category of Kachim Kalim, Shlamim. Shlamim Kachim Kalim, Shchitasim B'chol Makom Be'Azara. So it's anywhere in the Azara, 2 that are 4, anywhere, anybody can eat it, any type of way of preparing it. Here it's here's the one difference from the thing above, is that it is eaten 2 days in the intervening night. So no chatzos. You don't need to tell me don't fall asleep in the middle of the day. Okay, so therefore, the stuff that's given from it to the Kohanim, the Chazeh and the Shok, have the same halachot. It's just not eaten. It's eaten on Yerushalayim, but not eaten by all people. It's limited to the families of the Kohanim.
Anyway, the chatzos are really
right.
the whole night.
Right. I said that before. Tell me about that. Now we're going to use this as an opportunity. We could have said this in the previous mission, but we're dividing it up to discuss the idea of how do you know that this could be slaughtered anywhere in the Azara. Okay, and the simple answer is that it doesn't say north. But when it does talk about slaughtering it specifically speaks about slaughtering it petach oel moed, which is a very broad definition. Okay, anywhere in front of the door, which is not specifically the north. Okay, although if it's limited to petach oel moed, you're going to wonder, what about here? What about here? What about here? The sides. We're going to get to that. Okay, but it doesn't say north, and it does say petach oel moed. Tanu Rabbanan v'shachatu petach oel moed. Is it v'shachato? I think it's v'shachatu. Petach oel moed. V'shachato to. Maybe it's v'shachato. So maybe it's v'shachato. Maybe it's v'shachato. Yeah, v'shachato. V'shachato petach oel moed. Slaughter it by the opening of oel moed. V'shachato to lifnei.
There are a number of those actually.
Right. These are all. It says all of these by shlamim, because it talks about different shlamim, and every time it talks about a shlamim in the beginning of Vayikra, it says the opening of Ol Moed. It never says north, and it always says the opening of Ol Moed. V'shachato to lifnei Ol Moed. So the hachshir. So you have three psukim. Et kol haruchot b'kachim kalam, any direction. Okay. Kal v'chomer l'tzafa. Now 3 gives you 3 directions, but there are 4 directions. So we don't need a pasuk for the north, because we can learn it as a kal v'chomer from kachim kachim. Okay. Uma kachim kachim shelo huchshiru b'chol haruchos. Kachim kachim cannot be in all directions. They can only be in the north. Huchshiru b'tzafon. Kachim kachim are limited to the north. Kachim kalim shehuchshiru b'chol haruchos. Kachim kalim that you have given latitude wherever you want. Eno din shehuchshiru b'tzafon. Certainly it's in the north. So you don't need a pasuk for the north. The pasuk can tell you for the other directions. Rabbi Eliezer says, Lo nemar hakatuv el lahachshir tzafon. No. You needed one of those 3 psukim is needed specifically to tell you it's allowed to be in the north. Why would I have thought it's not allowed to be in the north? I could make a kavachomer the opposite way. So kachim kalim can be in any direction, but where they can be, kachim can't be. Where kachim kalim are allowed, kachim are not allowed. So then I could say the reverse. Where kadashim is allowed, kachim kalim are not allowed. Okay, so kachim which are only the north. So since kachim are weightier, maybe their space should be reserved for them. Okay, and therefore not kachim kalim. Okay, Talmud Lomar Oel Moed. So you need a pasuk to tell me yes. So the way Rashi puts this, Rashi actually says, look, says Rashi, there's no special kedusha of the north. It's all arbitrary. So it's not like, oh, well, if Kachim Kal, so if it's all arbitrary, maybe the Torah wants to give separate zones for each korban, which is a very reasonable point. So just because Kachim Kalim are less restrictive in general, you have more spaces, doesn't mean that you can infer that you can encroach on the space, that maybe that space should be designated for Kachim, which is a very good, reasonable argument. Okay, but in the end, we all agree to the halacha. So the Gemara says, "Dumai kamiflagi." What do they debate? Tanakama savar klosa kraiksivi. 3 psukim. Chad legufe. Dini by petrol moed. One is petrol moed just says it has to be in front of petrol moed, which means that if you don't have it functioning as a petach, it doesn't work. We're going to get to that later in the daf. For example, in the Beis Hamikdash, if the door was locked or closed before they would open the doors of Olam Moed first thing in the morning, open for business. By Olam Moed, I don't mean open the doors to let people in. It means the door is here. That would give access to the Kohanim to go inside of Olam Moed. So number 1, if the doors are locked. Number 2, if the temple in the Mishkan was being deconstructed or reconstructed, and then you hadn't yet constructed the opening. Okay, there needs to be an opening, and the door has to be open in order to do the shechita of korbanot. So the korbanot that were shechted in the morning before the doors of the ulam were opened are actually pasul. Okay, so that's number 1. The other question is, okay, what would have to be directly here, petach moed, like directly in front, right opposite the door? How do I know? Right. So maybe it has to be like right over here, right where the door is. How do I know that if it's here, it's okay, or here it's okay, or here, right? And what we're going to really ask is, how do I know if it's back here? Because at least these see the door by an angle. It's not directly opposite the door, but at least they're, you can make a straight line to connect them to the door. Okay, so we'll get to how you know this stuff in a minute. Okay, but right now we're going to focus on there. How do you know the side? So another pasuk says petach olam moed, or lifnei olam moed, to give you more latitude. Since one of them doesn't even mention petach, it's also part of the problem, right? One just says lifnei olam moed. So petach implies the door and an open door. Lifnei gives you more latitude. V'chad lahachshir tzadim. V'chad, and the final one says. No, both of them say lifnei olam moed. But anyway, somehow the third one we're going to learn as a limiting pasuk, rather than a more inclusive pasuk, to insist that it still be an element of lifnei olam moed. So therefore, lifsot tzidei tzadim, the sides of the sides. What are the sides of the sides? So again, I would have imagined it meant behind the door. That we're actually going to say is not. What Rashi actually says it's coming to do is coming to say, let's say your Kohen is in a room here. They would have a room off the side. Okay, and maybe this is where, like as Michael was saying, where they would cook the shlamim, or where they would cook the chatat or whatever it would be. So why don't you say, well, I'm in front of Olam Moed, like geographically, I'm in front of Olam Moed. I'm in a wall. I have walls. I can't see it. Okay, so the answer is no. That doesn't count. If the third lifnei Olam Moed is telling you that you have to be directly, you have to be lifnei. There really has to be a sense of presence. So therefore, being in a room, which is what we're calling tzidei tzadim, that doesn't count. But we are going to say that this stuff behind the door actually does count as lifnei. That's going to be a chiddush. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, that's what you do for the 3 psukim. It's okay. Okay. But Safon lo itzarech kra, and Safon doesn't need a pasuk. So we really, as opposed to the way it sounded, that 3 psukim are 3 directions. Really, it's not saying that. One pasuk is a door. The other pasuk tells you any direction, and the third pasuk tells you not tzidei tzadim. So really, one pasuk was enough to tell you any direction. But the point is, and you don't need to say, wait, maybe any direction but north. Maybe north is reserved. No, this approach says we don't start with an assumption that north is reserved. So you don't need a pasuk to address the north issue. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer holds chad legufei, didn't buy petach olam moed. One for telling you there's got to be a door and it's got to be open. The chad lahachshir tzafon. No, I would have thought north is reserved, so I need one pasuk to tell me north is not reserved. The chad lahachshir tzadim, and one is to tell me it's not only north, anywhere, and even not directly in front, even a little off to the sides. Okay, but tzidei tzadim lo tzarich kra. I don't need a pasuk to exclude tzidei tzadim. Somebody's in some room, that to me is obviously not lifnei olam moed. I don't need a pasuk for it. Okay, so at the end of the day, we all agree it's just a question how you get there. Did you start by assuming that north had to be reserved or not? And did you need a pasuk to exclude the idea that if you're in a room, it doesn't count, a separate room? Okay, so now the Gemara says like this. Meaning, so what's the emphasis of the word petach? Okay, now we're just going back to sort of expand what we said before, that there has to be a doorway, okay, and it has to be open. So the Gemara says, if they are shechted before the doors of the Heichal, I meant to say the Ulam for that, but obviously the Heichal is the Olam Moed proper, right? The Ulam is an addition that you didn't have in the Mishkan. The actual Olam Moed, is the Heichal. So if they are shechted before the doors of the Heichal would be opened, they are invalid. And actually, in the Mishnayot, where it discusses how they would start the day, one of the first things it speaks about is a Kohen that would go through a tiny little door to allow him to open up the doors of the Ulam and then the doors of the Heichal, so that they can then start the day with doing the Shechita. So there's something very nice about the idea, like, the doors to the king's palace are open. Like before you do the Shechita out here, there has to be like access, like the door, obviously it's anthropomorphic, but if you think about it, like this is where God resides, right, and whatever, you're not going to be offering sacrifices before the doors are open. Okay. Okay. Fine. So it's before they're open. They're psulim. V'shchato petach olam moed. Bisman shu patuach. It has to be open. Below bisman shu not when it's locked. Imanami Amar Mar Ukva Bar Chama Amar Rav Yosef Bar Bichanina Shlomo Shishchatan Kodem Shiftachu Dlatot Echa Psulim. They're invalid. Shenema V'shchato petach olam moed. Bisman shepetach olam moed patuach, when it's open. Below bisman shu na'ul, not when it's locked. Rava Masidis, that's like 3 things all saying the same thing. Hachi Amar Rav Yaakov Bar Acha Amar Rav Ashi Shlamim Sheshachtan Kodem Shiftachu Dlatot Echa Psulim. If they're slaughtered before it's open, it's invalid. Mishkan, now we're having a little more elaboration. If they were slaughtered before the Levim erected the Mishkan, before there actually was the structure, maybe you had the outer, what do you call it? Curtains, but you didn't have the actual structure of the Olam Moed, so you didn't have a petach. Or if they undid the structure of the Olam Moed, even if you still had the outer curtains, it would be invalid. Psuli. Now the Gemara wants to understand what is exactly the definition of open. Okay, Pshita, it's obvious, as the Gemara, Mugaf, if the door is closed, it's like it's locked. That's a fascinating question, right? When do you need unlocked and when do you need open? So the Gemara says, questions about, a lot of things, yichud, other types of questions, right? Anyway, so the Gemara says, if the door is closed, it's not patuach. Petach means the door is open. So actually the door, it's not just it has to be unlocked, you actually have to open it. Vilon mai. Now what about though, if you've got a curtain in the doorway? Does that mean that it's sealed because you don't see the petach? You don't actually see the, the opening, or is it because there's nothing that's restricting you? You just walk through. I mean, you could say an unlocked door, you could just open, but there's something about the unlocked door that it's a barrier, right? You can't just walk through. You bang your head. Here you just walk through the curtain and you're there. So is that considered open or closed? Now that's a fascinating question because in the actual base of Mishkan, there wasn't a door. There was a curtain, right? Right? How the Mishkan, right, was, right? You had it, right? You had like this, and you had a curtain, right? So actually, and that was considered petach. So of course it should be considered petach. But maybe the point is, like, if the whole thing is, I don't know, like maybe it's like in a place where you have a serious structure and you could put up a door, maybe you even have a door. Right, because I don't think they're restructuring the Beit HaMikdash. But let's say they're imagining that after you open the door, there's then a curtain after that door. Maybe one of those beads things or whatever they are. Inside. So maybe in a context in which you have a door, or you could have a door, and there's no door, and there's just a curtain. There, maybe the thinking is that the curtain, should be considered. But wait, if anything, that's more of a reason to say that it's considered open. Yeah. So it's not clear to me. Why, if it's considered open by the Mishkan, should there be a havamina that a curtain should be considered closed by the Beis HaMikdash? I'm not getting it.
Is that what they said?
Well, I'm saying it. They're not saying it, but I'm just saying, what type of crazy question is this about the curtain?
Right.
The curtain is what they had in the Mishkan,
right,
and that was considered Petach Moed. Okay, I don't know. Maybe the point is that the curtain didn't totally seal the space because the way it sort of operated, right, was sort of like. Right? Was you could like walk around the curtain, right? Isn't that how it looked? Maybe that's the difference. That just doesn't make sense to me. As if in the Mishkan you've got a curtain already, and there clearly it's considered opening. Let's get a picture of it. No, the curtain goes all the way. Anyway, the curtain goes. Come on, I don't know what's going on. The curtain goes all the way across. So, and even so, it's considered petach moed. So I'm really not getting what the I'm really not getting what the point is. Hold on, let me see. You see here. Look at this picture, right? See the picture? Right? The curtain goes all the way in front. Right? And it's considered to be Petach Moed. So I don't understand how we could think otherwise here. Whatever. We've lost that historical context. So now let's take a look. I'm sure somebody asked this question. So it says like this. Okay. So what's stir with the curtain? Vilon Mai. Where am I? And I lost my place. I see. Vilon Mai. I'm Reb Zera. Hu atzoin in asel petach. What are you talking about? A vilon, of course, is like an open door. I don't even understand what that means. Rashi says, obviously, it's open. It's just there for modesty. It's not there to keep people out. You have a curtain, so it's not visible what's going on. It's not openly visible to anybody at a distance. So if a curtain is there for modesty, it's not there to keep people out. A door is there to keep people out even if you didn't lock it. And therefore, obviously, a curtain is fine. It's still considered Petach Moed, which, as I said, was just to me obvious from the case of the Mishkan. All right, moving on. So a curtain is fine, a closed door is not. Okay, it itself is an open doorway. Govamai. Now, what if you've got some physical obstruction in front of the door? Okay, now the funny thing is that Tosa says, yeah, you got a physical obstruction in front of the door. It's known as the Mizbeach. Okay, and if you're telling me that you can shecht it here, even with the Mizbeach blocking, your sight of the door, so like what exactly is the Havamina? So it's not clear. Tosa doesn't really have a good answer. Maybe the question is, let's say the obstruction was right up against the door. Like you had to climb over this obstruction. You know what I mean? It wasn't an actual door. If I had a mound of dirt in front of my front door, my door is open. My door is open. Come anytime. It's just like I got a mound of dirt, but it's not actually closing the door. All right. So anyway, so the mizbeach is at least it blocks your visibility, but at least it doesn't block your access. Okay. So anyway, govamai. What about if there's some obstruction there, some mound of dirt? Tashma. There were two like little doorways in the Beit HaChalifot. Now the Beit HaChalifot was this space. The ulam here extended 15 amot beyond the 15 amot beyond the edge of the Heichal. Okay, and this is the ulam. This is like the extra hallway that was added in the Beis Hamikdash that wasn't in the Mishkan. And this area right here is like where the Kohanim, like there were holes in the wall, and there was like their cubbies. Their cubbies was like back here, done by holes in the walls of the ulam, and that was called the Beit HaChalifot, where they would like a chalif is a knife. That's where they would put their knives in their various holes. Okay, so what we're going to say is, why is the place behind, right, the door considered lifnei olam moed, petach olam moed? And the answer is because there's going to be a little doorway in the back of the Beit HaChalifot on both sides. So when you're here, since in theory you can go into this door, and through this door you can get access into the Olam Moed, that's considered to be Petach Olam Moed. Now you have to admit it's a little funny, because that's Petach HaUlam. It's not Petach Olam Moed. The Petach Olam Moed is here, right? You're not still getting direct access to. If you're here in front of the opening of the Ulam, and you're then, wherever you are here, you're facing also the opening of the Heichal, right? The opening of the Heichal is here, right? So you're also facing that. If you're behind the Ulam, even if there's a little door, so even though you can access it by going through the doors, you're not exactly in front of the door, okay? But nevertheless, that's considered to be sufficient, and that's considered to make it that little door, to make anything back here on a similar door they had on the other side, on the north side, so anything behind it was also considered Petach Olam Moed. Okay, so that answers why the sides are good. So it says like this: Shnei pispasim, two like little doors. Hayu beveit hachalifot. Govan shmona. They were 8 amot high. Kedei la'achir tazara kula la'achil kachim kachim l'shritus kachim kalim. In order to make the entire azara considered Petach Olam Moed, to eat kachim kachim and to shecht kachim kalim. Now, the Gemara is going to later take out eat kachim kachim, because there was never a halacha that kachim kachim had to be eaten petach olam moed. Yes, they can be eaten in the whole azara. That's what we've been saying until now. Tochlu b'makom kadosh. But there was never an idea of petach olam moed. So you didn't need a door to solve a problem. But for the shchita of kachim kalim is petach olam moed. So for that, by having these doors here, you made all this area behind also considered to be in front of petach olam moed. All right. Now, my love, so presumably 8 means that the door was 8 amot high, okay? But the Gemara has a bizarre read of what the 8 means. My love does it not when it says that these things were 8 mean. My love, the Ika Kamayu Shmona, that in front of these doorways, these little doorways at the back of the Beit HaChalifot, there was a mound 8 amot high. It's completely bizarre. Why would I think there's a mound in the middle of the Mikdash? It says the door was 8 amot. Like, it's such a funny havamina. Lo, the gavu ninu shmona. No, the door was 8 amos high. That's what it means. Not that there was a mound. So it's not relevant to your question. Basically, 1 minute, how could you say the door was 8 amot? This is what probably pushed the Gemara to have this strange read. Kol sharim shahayu sham gomen asrim amah. All the doors in the Mikdash were 20 amot high. V'rochvan eseraman, and they were 10 amot wide. So the Gemara says, no, Pis B'Shin Shani, that's main doors. Tiny little back doors are different. 8 amos is still pretty big for a doorway. 16 feet. I've never said what doorway is 16 feet tall. A little castle, maybe. Anyway, so or whatever, not even 8. Even if you say an amos, 1.5 foot, 12 feet, still pretty high. Anyway, what's a standard door? 8 or something? Anyway, okay. Anyway, mace face. I'll ask you. Kol Hashem Shayu. I remember we did that already. Vaykat Stadim. So the Gemara says, 1 minute. I got a problem. It says this makes all of the space directly behind that 15 amos of protrusion. Petachol Moed. What about the stuff that's right at the edge here? The southern edge, or right at the northern edge. So it is behind the opening of the ulam and the heichal, and it is off to the side. It's not even facing. It's not in that direct, space in front of the what do you call it? Here. Now you could still say you get it at an angle. Great, but what if it's not just down here at the southern edge? What if it's the southern edge and it's behind? It's right at the the width of the wall here. From the front of the ulam to the back of the ulam. So if it's right here, right now you're really stuck, right? You're not at all in front of either door, right? You're in that width that's between the front door of the ulam and the back door of the ulam. Like if you imagine a house, you got your front door and your back door. Anywhere in the backyard, you're in front of the back door. Anywhere in the front yard, you're in front of the front door. But if you're off at the sides, you're not in front of either door. Okay, so this is the front door to your house. This is the back door. What about this? That's not Petachol Moed. So the Gemara says, so what do you do? So the Gemara says, so the Ma'ililuhu B'Keren Zavis. Okay, so you're right. You don't put the door there. You put the door at the corner. Here's the door to the back door to the ulam was at the corner of the southern and the western wall. And here the corner of the northern and the western wall. So therefore, whether you're in the backyard or the side yard, the door is a little bit facing you, okay? And that allows this space and this space. But now we're going to be left with, what about this space? The space that's the backyard of the, as it were, right, of the Kodesh Kodashim, right? That is not in front of either door. So the Gemara says, what about the space behind where the Aron is? Tashma, Amarami Bar Yudah, Amarav, Lukatan Hayachuri Beta Kaporet. There's a tiny little opening, like a window or a door maybe, that was at the back. Gova Shmo and also Einamotal, Kidela Hashet Azar Lachilos Kachikachim, Lachitos Kachim Kalim. To make anywhere in the Azara considered Petachol Moed. So any form of access, again, there's got to be like a good drusha here. Here it is, like it's all restricted access, the Shechina, the Kaparos, Kodesh Kadashim, you have to go this way through the Kodesh, Ula, Mechel, or whatever. But really, the sense of like, God somehow will find ways to get access. Anywhere you are, you're Betachol Moed, we'll make a back door here and a back door here and so on. Okay, fine, yes.
They actually had a door in the back?
Well, it's more like a window, but it's a big window. It's an 8 amma window or something. I know, it is surprising. Yeah. So exactly, 8 ammas is pretty darn big. Yeah, you would think that they would, you're actually right. It's a good point. I wasn't stopping to think about it, but like what? You could actually peek in and see the Aron? Yeah, you're right. That is pretty darn strange. I mean, and you could say it would be closed. Well, maybe let's go back to the Gemara. Maybe there would be a vilon. If there was a closed, then it wouldn't solve the problem. So maybe there would be some curtain. Yeah, so I guess if combining the things we said earlier, there's a way to make it make sense. But yeah, it's a good point. Okay. Tosos asks the question. I mean, Tosos says, the derech peace between lo hayachol lirot klal. Well, anyway, whatever. No, he actually, that's a different question. Anyway, so the Gemara says like this. Okay, where are we? So it says like this. Maybe it was high up, but if it was high up off the ground, then it would have answered our question about an obstruction too. Because I don't know, if you've got something that's a window that if you get me a ladder, I can climb through, I'm not sure that counts as Petachol Moed. By calling it a lul, it's not clear if it was a window or a door. And if it is a window, then that to some degree doesn't even address the question we've been raising about what if there's some form of obstruction. Okay, so let's anyway go back to the Gemara. The Gemara says, okay, the Hainu Dechsiv, Shnaim Lapar Bar. 2 guards for the par bar. Mila par bar. Amar Rabbi Bar Rav Shila. Kimand Amar Klape Bar, the stuff pointing to the back or outward. So there were two guards for this window in the back of the Kodesh Kodashim. Maybe exactly that, to keep people's eyes away. Okay? Anyway, but what we have not done is we have not answered our question about what's the story with an obstruction. Does that still consider Petachom away? We'll read one more line until we begin the next stop. Amar Rav Yud Amar Shmuel, Ein Chayavin Mishum Tuma, Ella al Orech Mea V'Shmoni V'Sheva al Rochav Mea V'Shloshim V'Chamesh. Okay, so now we're going to get to this point about the actual Azara. All of our discussion has been that the entire Azara is where you use Kutcher and not where you, and where you can now shech, because we made everything Petachom Moed. It's where you can shech Kutchim Kalim. Okay, but the Azara includes the entire Azara, but not the Ezrat Nashim. Okay, so as we've been saying, so right, so the Ezrat Nashim is going to be here, and the entire length of the Azara is what's the length? 187 by 135. 187 by 135. Okay, that's going to be the and that's going to be the Azara proper. Okay, and that's where you're chayiv if you're tamei, chayiv karet if you're tamei, etc. So we will continue with that tomorrow, discussing what makes the Azara proper, where are all the things get done, kachim, shchitas kachim kalim, chiyuv tuma, and so on. To be continued tomorrow.